Here we are at Ballarat, and I'd like to introduce David Davidson, who's the worm farm king, and especially here at the Ballarat Farmers Market. So David, here you go. It's your morning, and you've got a lot of stuff here. Maybe just tell us what you've got here on display here, starting from probably right to left.
Yes, well, we market a number of things. Right over the side there is the compost that I make up, which is a combination of horse, cow, rabbit, pig, sheep manure, but it's just the basic compost. We've got the round can of worms, which we actually just buy them from Bunnings, but we sell them with our worms. And we also, the big value of that is that we give the customers the full rundown on how to use them, and because there's a few little tricks that people can go wrong, but we make sure that they get full instructions on how to use them. We have the worm tea, the vermi-liquid tea, which the home gardeners just find to be fantastic on all their plants. We have a little kids worm farm kit, which only costs $5, and there's an instruction kit with that. And we show them that starting off with just 10 worms, in 3 years they can have 1 million worms if they look after them. So that's really good value for just $5. 10 worms.
10 worms.
And you can fit 3 million in 1 million in 3 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We sell the vermicast. That's the pure worm castings. Beautiful, that. You could nearly eat it yourself.
Yes, you could. Do you good too.
Yep. We've also, of course, got the live worms. I'm not sure whether they'll come up on the film or not, but there's the live compost worms.
Yep.
We sell those in little punnets of approximately 500 each. We've also got the doggy poo bins, which people can bury them in their garden and then put their dog manure or animal manures in that, and the worms will process that into healthy fertiliser.
Put worms in the base of that.
You put 500 worms in the base of that, and then they start putting the manure in, and as well as the worms eating the manure, they wander in and out because there's holes in the container, so they're fertilising the ground around the worms at the same time.
You bury that or half bury it? Or?
Yeah, usually bury it, so it's just the lid's showing at the surface, and then you just add a bit of water to it, and the nutrients just flow in and out of the garden. So as well as getting rid of the manure, it's fertilising an area around the bucket as well. There's another form of those too called worm towers, which you can put your food scraps in, bury that in the garden, and the same thing, you're fertilising the garden as you're processing all your household waste. And then we've got probably our star attraction is the never fill worm bin. This holds probably 6 times as much as the plastic can of worms, and you can put everything in this, like cardboard, all your newspaper, garden leaves, compost, everything. And basically we have this demonstration here where you start off with your food scraps, eggshells, tea bags, paper, and the worms convert that into just beautiful. High quality, high carbon, lots of humus, lots of biology in that, which can then go on the garden. Now, I'd be inclined to put half of that in a watering can. 50-50, no, more than 50-50, about 5 to 1.
Okay.
Right, pour that on your compost thing and then give it another drink in a week's time. You'll find it heats, it'll get it heated up very quickly.
Right, okay, I'll take one of those.
In the car, just make sure the bottle stays upright because they're only old milk bottles.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good recycling program there.
Yep.
Thank
We
you.
all do our bit. Thank you. How you going?
I've got one of these at home.
Yes.
What sort of worms do I need to stuff?
You need the compost worms, these little guys here. They get sick of being turned over all the time. But,
Oh, yeah, little ones.
right, yeah. And Realm themselves recommend you start off with a minimum of 1,000, which is that much.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Oh, well, it's got the instructions in it.
So you've just haven't unpacked it or anything yet?
No, it's like that.
Yeah, okay. They do have the instructions, but there's a few things that they don't tell you.
Oh, this is good.
Okay, so I'll just run through if you like. First thing is this bottom section is for collecting the juice, but we recommend that you actually leave the tap open and collect the juice outside in a bucket, because sometimes the lady here before saying her worms keep getting down in there and drowning. Right, so it's best not to collect it in there. It's best that so you never put any food in there. So, right, so that's just basically waste space. You start off by putting 2 or 3 sheets of newspaper on that one, then put your worms in, then you start putting your food scraps on top of that. Right, so, and for a start it'll only look like that. You don't need these other 2 for a start. The important thing is to not put more than about an inch level of food in at any one time. If you empty your whole bin and say, oh, well, that'll do them for a month, the food goes rancid in the black plastic and they don't like it, okay? So you just got to, realising that you're starting off with 2,000 worms.
Are they breeding?
Well, actually you're starting off with 1,000 unless you want 2,000. We sell them with 2,000, but 1,000's okay to get you going. And you've got to wait for them to breed up. In 12 months' time you're going to have 20 or 30,000 worms, so they'll obviously eat a lot more than 2, a lot quicker. So just put a thin layer. If you can put your food through a blender, or at least chop up the big bits of pumpkin peel. Or another good trick is to put your food scraps in a little plastic bag, put them in the freezer overnight, freeze them. Then when you take them out and put them in there, when it thaws out, it'll decompose a lot quicker than if it was fresh. Okay, so that's another good little trick. So eventually it'll look like that, adding about an inch of layer at a time as it starts to turn towards dirt. When it gets to about an inch from the top, then you add your next layer, and then start putting food in this, and they'll come up through the holes because they're natural top feeders. Eventually, when that's 3/4 full, you put your next one on. When this one's full, 90% of your worms are going to be either in this top one or the middle one. You take the bottom one out, and use that as your fertiliser, and then it becomes number 4. And then you just keep rotating. The important thing with these is don't let them be exposed to the direct sunlight. It's okay in the winter, but in the summer they get hot, the black plastic gets hot very quickly, and will cook your worms. So keep them in a shed, or at least on a nice shady place, out of the direct sunlight. All right? Okay, so once the liquid that you get out of there, you're going to use it, but I'll give you a complimentary bottle of juice to try as well. That's a liquid fertiliser. And the thing with that is you pour it over the leaves of your roses and allow some of it to drip into the ground, because it also keeps the bugs off the leaves as well. Yes, that's for being a good sport and allowing us to film you.
Oh, that's all right.
Appreciate it, mate.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Could have done it candid, I wouldn't have minded.
Thanks a lot.
I've been putting this on it once a month.
Yep.
Just
beautiful.
And bloomed
Yep.
and bloomed.
Oh, that's good.
It's got to be that.
Isn't it? Yep.
Most of my stuff.
Yeah, well, that's what everyone else tells us. It certainly works. Thank you. Okay, so we're talking here to Rosemary, who, with her sister Edith, runs the Yulong Lavender Farm. Quite famous. They have a very big open day once a year, although we're just about ready to retire.
Which you've been brave enough to come to.
Yes, we enjoyed it very much. And Rosemary, I think it was probably about 12 months ago that you first decided to sample some of our worm tea.
Absolutely.
And
the worm tea, I will have to say that your worm tea has been brilliant, because all this worm tea we've just working on with taking cuttings of lavender over in the nursery, and we're finding that the propagating is doing extremely well, putting some worm tea onto it.
So you dip the
Dip
cuttings in the worm tea.
About enough strength then for watering it on.
Yep.
And the worm tea has been doing beautifully. The lavender cuttings have been doing very well with the worm tea. And as we have the property on the market, once it is actually sold, then I'm going to have one of your lovely worm farms.
So you'll be making your own worm tea eventually.
I'll eventually be making our own.
Yes,
but this would be brilliant. But the worm tea is just, and we also use it in the vegetable garden.
Yep.
So we're finding, and I use it quite often just neat.
Okay.
But certainly for the cuttings we break it down a bit, but it's very good for propagating.
All right,
For
that's
propagating work.
good, great stuff. Thank you very much.
It goes well.
Okay.
Rosemary, before you go,
Yes.
can I ask you what you were using before? Like why did you change to the, once you tried it?
Well, we just found over 12 months that the cuttings did terribly well, and we only use organic things. I don't want to use anything that's petrochemical or chemical. So when the worm tea is as natural as we can be. So the worm tea we just thought we'd try it for a while, and the cuttings did well on it. So that was better than me buying something in a packet and breaking it down. It was much easier to do that. So that's worked well.
Oh, do I have to see that?
They taste beautiful. Approximately 500 have been, yeah.
What type these ones? These wild red ones?
Red tigers.
Yeah, they're pretty active, aren't they?
They are. They do them.
Tigers, I guess.
Yeah. There's a red.
Think about it.
There's a red. There's a tiger and a red tiger.
Yeah.
But you just about have to do a DNA to, you know, so long as they're compost worms, the main thing,
That's it.
because they won't run away like the others.
No, well,
Just bring them down here.
We'll come back.
Okay.
That way. What's in here?
That's nothing. That's just the worm castings. You just put that's worm poo that you put your hand in.
In the park here.
Tell me there.
One of my forms, before I brought them in was a...
You might find some eggs, Sean. That one's got eggs.
You see eggs?
There's some on that before. That one's got the band around it.
Yeah, he's full grown. There's a nice juicy egg.
The egg.
See that?
The brown
Like a
thing.
little brown thing, like a little brown onion. That's an egg. That's got babies in it.
That's probably about 100 babies in there.
Can I hold it?
If you yeah, you can.
Careful.
Put your hand out.
Hand out.
Put your hand out. Do you want to hold it or not? No. Okay. Hello.
They don't necessarily learn.
You can look on. Do you have anything small on that? Because I'm. All right. All right. $2-3.
Baby.
Yep. Thank you. We're okay.
Some of those go stick in a compost bin or
No, they don't. If the compost bin is working well, it'll get too hot. You're better off making your compost and then putting your worms into your compost in another area. Also, the worms tend to come to the top, so they're only going to process the top bit of your compost. So you're wasting your money by putting it in there. I'll get a bag for you. Okay.
I came back.
You did.
I know, not only that, but I've got to get from here to the train station. So that's what I'm thinking. I was going to walk and I'm going, oh, maybe I'll catch the bus now. But I think, can I walk with, I think I can walk with that one. Yeah. That's the...
Do you have old pot plants at
Oh,
home?
bucket with a handle.
Do it with the bucket with the handle. You know, on the tray.
Put all your shopping in it.
Yeah, and then you could put your stuff in it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking how many bags I've got to handle. I actually work in, we've got a strong interest in sustainable food systems.
Okay.
So looking at like closed loop,
Yep.
recycling methods and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's very interesting that you're doing that with the...
Well, you'll find a lot of the stuff we're talking about on there very interesting, and we need people like you guys picking up on this. So it's good that you're asking. Thank you.
That's great.
Don't you think they look tasty?
So what is, they're fantastic. What's in your compost?
What you would need to do is...
Sorry?
What's in it?
Horse manure, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then your soil...
Let's see if I dug in my garden.
But once it gets to this stage, there's no smell other than a beautiful earthy smell.
Yeah.
Once the light comes on them, they'll go down. So I've got that sitting there in the light, so the worms will all go down the bottom. So they'll come.
Sorry?
You sell it in bulk?
Taking your soil off.
Yeah, we can, yeah, we sell it in trailer loads and things like that. Funny you should mention that.
Perfect.
So what's the go?
You're looking at some sort of worm farm?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a backyard?
I've got 10 acres.
Okay. The two options are the black plastic type, which is more suited to people in units and flats.
Yep.
And because you've really got to manage that and only put a small amount in at a time and keep working at it. Where this is basically you can just.
So how does that work?
Okay.
Planting your dogs.
Yep. So you just dig a hole in your garden or backyard somewhere and bury it, so it's just sitting up at level like that. You put your compost worms in there, and then you can throw your dog poo in there and they'll convert that into the vermicast the same as they do with it.
Anything else?
I would be throwing a little bit of your food scraps just to give them a bit of variety, but strictly speaking, no, they will survive on that. But like you and I wouldn't want them just eating potatoes all the
It
time.
doesn't matter if the dogs eat a lot of meat. And
No, because it's in the ground. It's not going to do any harm. And you pour a bit of water through it every now and then, and it's going to leach all the nutrients out into the soil around it. And the worms will wander in and out and drop their castings. So you're actually going to fertilise a large area around it.
You can use that, or it just goes into the ground.
No, once that's eventually full, but like you might have this half full tomorrow, and then 3 or 4 days later it'll have sunk down as they process it.
Okay.
So it'll last a fair while before it gets full, but eventually it will. But when it does get full, the majority of your worms, because they're natural top feeders, will be in this top section. So you just scoop that out, use that as fertiliser somewhere else, and then probably put it in another area and start again.
Okay, ready.
Now the only thing you'd be aware of, if you give your dog a worming tablet, don't put that manure in because you'll kill all your worms.
Okay,
So you'll need to, just 3 or 4 days that it's gone through their system. Okay, so and probably safe if you do it at a weekend, don't use the manure for that week. You'll just have to bury that somewhere, whatever you're doing with it now, but don't just keep your worms. And what will happen is your worm numbers will build up as well. So after a while, if you want to get another bucket or something or make your own, you can have 2, split them in half. So you're going to have basically growing your own fertiliser in your backyard.
Okay.